Welcome again to the 3F podcast Faith, Family, and Fatherhood. Today we're going to talk about the power of a child to teach an adult. You know, in the word it says, and a child shall lead them. And that is so true. We can learn as much, if not more, from our kids than they can learn from us. So I want to tell you about a story that happened to me one time in my life. I was going through a particularly challenging time. Finances were tight. Tight. Like when you have like a $20 bill and you go, this is great. I could put $10 in a gas tank and I can buy $10 worth of oodles and noodles. You can get a whole lot of oodles and noodles for $10, bruh. So at that time, I wasn't spending as much time with my kids because I couldn't do a lot with them. It was just a struggle to go day to day and go week to week. So I said, I'm going to kind of back off from my kids for a little bit. Till I get myself together. Then I get back with them. That'll be okay. So anyway, later on down the road, I talked to my kids, hey, let's go to the movies. Let's do this. Okay, fine. So we decided to do that. I come by to pick them up, and my oldest son and my youngest son are there. We're talking for a little bit. And then we get ready to leave. And me and my son, our oldest son, are walking out. My youngest son is like still sitting there. I'm like, what are you doing? He doesn't say anything. We're leaving. He doesn't say anything. He just sits down. Don't go get him. He's kind of small at the time, so I can kind of grab him and move him around a little bit. Come on, boy, let's go. And we go and then we leave, and he's kind of quiet in the car. And we get to the movie theater, and we were early. So, in the movie theater, they have these benches. You can kind of sit down on the benches. You can kind of sit and watch people coming in and going, and you can keep track of when your movie starts, and you see people buying popcorn and jujubes and all that kind of stuff, and to get the smell of the popcorn. It's kind of cool. So we're just kind of chilling, taking it easy, just relaxing, having a good time talking. And I noticed my youngest son isn't engaging. He's just sitting on the bench being quiet. I'm like, well, this is odd. He never acts like this. So I joke with him, and he doesn't joke back too much. And my oldest son is like, well, you know how he is, father. So then we get ready to go inside the theater. And he still wasn't moving. So once again, I had to come get him and take him inside the theater. And I'm like really kind of worried. Like, my son, what's going on with you? He kind of shakes his head, doesn't say too much. And so we're sitting in the theater, and he's sitting beside me, but he's kind of leaning away. And he it's kind of hard to sit in a movie chair beside somebody and not have like your elbows touch or something like that because you're kind of cramped in, especially if you're a big boy like me. But he purposely leaned away from me so that we wouldn't touch. Now I'm panicking. I started praying. I was like, Lord, what's going on? I'm losing my child. And I could tell he was mad at me. He wouldn't say anything. But I just started praying and like, what have I done? And I started rethinking the stuff I had done recently, and I was like, man, that wasn't a good decision. That decision to stay away, regardless of what my rationale was, it wasn't a good decision. And so I'm in the dark in the movie theater, and to this day, I don't know what that movie was about because it didn't matter. I was losing my child, and I didn't want that. So I prayed for help and guidance right there in the movie theater. And what I remember is, as the movie went on, my son kind of leaned towards me a little bit, kind of leaned in a little bit. I'm like, kind of leaned on me a little bit, got closer. As the movie went on, he kind of put his hand on my leg. Boy, I was excited. You would have thought Halle Berry put her hand on my leg because I'm getting my son back. And by the end of the movie theater, you know, we were together. But I learned a lesson that night. A little boy beat a man's butt. My child kicked my butt that night. He taught me something. And he was so young, he couldn't really articulate it. He couldn't say it with words. But I think the Spirit of God was speaking through my son. And the Spirit of God was telling me, you blowing it. You blowing it, kid. Reminds me of that fight between Sugar Ray and Tommy Hearns, the first one. Sugar Ray was losing. And Angelo Dundee got in his ear and he said, you're blowing it, kid. You're blowing it. What he was telling Sugar Ray was, if you don't try something different, you're going to lose this fight. And I think that's the message that I was getting. And my son was saying to me, even though he couldn't say it with words, he was saying, Daddy, where you been? He was saying, Daddy, where you been? He was saying, I miss you. I miss you. What are you doing? I don't understand this. You hurt my feelings. I don't feel like you love me. Where are you? I'm mad at you. You're being mean to me, so I'm going to be mean to you, so maybe you'll get the message. That's what my son was saying that he couldn't verbalize. But his actions told me. Well, I believe all around the country, children are saying the same things to their fathers, but are the fathers listening? Daddy, where are you? Why aren't you there? How come you haven't been calling me? How come you haven't been coming to get me? Why'd you promise me them Jordans and you never brought them? Why did you say you were coming by for Christmas and you didn't come? How come I went to this function at my school and the other kids had their fathers there and I didn't have mine? Daddy, where are you? We can put that on a t-shirt. A lot of the pain that comes through families comes from children who are asking that question every day. Daddy, where are you? Why aren't you here? What have I done? And that's the part that makes a child upset. They're like, I'm a child. I could have done with so much. What have I done for you to treat me like this? That's what my son was saying. And I got the message. And I changed. I said, you know what? I ain't making that mistake no more. And yeah, I have a flimsy excuse for my money ain't right now, whatever. But if I didn't have so much male ego, all I had to do was ask the mom, hey, can you give him $20 so they can get some popcorn? Can you give him a buck? She'd be like, sure. Get him out of my hair for a little while. The male ego can't do that. Selfish. Ignorant. But you learn. Bible says a child shall lead them. You can learn so much from your kids if you're open-minded and humble. So, my son taught me something that day. A lesson I've never forgotten. And I kick it with my kids when we're together, kick it with them over the phone, whatever it takes, a text. But I stay in their lives and I'm an influence in their lives. And their mental health and everything is so much healthier. That's the power of a father that's aware of what's going on and the impact he makes. That's all we got today. A child shall lead them. This is the 3F podcast. It's about faith, family, and fatherhood. I'd like to thank my mama and my daddy. My daddy called me the roller, and my mama called me main man. And everything I do in this world that's good, I do because of my mama and my daddy. Thank you, faith, family, and fatherhood. We out.